They say, "Come, let's wipe them out as a nation." All this talk of a referendum made it seem like a good idea to go and actually look at the Australian Constitution. To be honest, most of the talk of things like ministers' salaries and trade between the states didn't really jump out as fascinating reading. What was fascinating, however, was the very first sentence. On the 9th of July, 1900, the people of Australia put down in writing the idea of a nation that was humbly relying on the blessing of Almighty God. In other words, the Australian Constitution is a covenant made between a nation and God. We can compare this with Israel in the time today's psalm was written. That was a nation that was under a covenant that God had made. There is a difference. God was the one who made the covenant with Israel, whereas Australia made its covenant with God. Nonetheless, a covenant was made. Now, we know from reading Israel's history, something we have been doing for some time, and having now started 1 Kings will continue for some time more, that, should a nation in covenant with God break that covenant, God will respond in kind. This is not a good place to be in. But the flip side is that God's loving kindness is forever, and his mercies are endless. Whenever God's covenant nation of Israel repented and turned back to God, the blessings were restored. God does not hold a grudge against anyone who truly repents. Since it would seem that we find ourselves in a nation explicitly in covenant with God, it is comforting to know that we too can confidently call on God's blessings in this regard. As salt and light, that is, those who love Jesus and are part of the building of his kingdom here on earth, we can and should humbly rely on the blessing of Almighty God upon this nation, and pray for that blessing every day.